Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching Ba-Boom, the Political Vigilante. I talk a lot about the environment on this show, and I talk a lot about technology that is already out there that could help reverse the climate collapse. We're in climate collapse. It's not climate change. We're in collapse. And if we don't do something about it, the human race will go extinct. Species that don't evolve go extinct. So I keep coming across stories like this of technology that's out there that's being used that just needs the funding to be put out on a mass scale. Well, they found something brilliant in Iceland. Iceland CO2 sucked from the air is turned to rock. I've never heard of this process, but we've done other videos on this show about other ways of pulling CO2. CO2 is the main contributor to climate change, right? So there's algae that pulls it out of the air. There's soil that you can put. I mean, they found all this thing, the Olivaria mineral, putting it on beaches, pull CO2 out of the air. So we need to do this on the mass scale, because to really reverse climate change and avoid the human race from going extinct, we need a top-down solution, actually. We need a top-down solution. This is one of these areas where you can't do it grassroots. So here's the technology that they've come up with in Iceland. A newly opened plant is sucking carbon dioxide from the air and turning it into rock, locking away the main culprit behind global warming. It is the world's largest plant using the direct air capture technology, or DAC, increasingly lighting up the imagination as the world struggles to avert catastrophic global warming. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I talk about it every year on the show. Look what happened this past summer, right? We had fires all along the West Coast, from Canada all the way down. There was an oil fire in the Gulf of Mexico. Literally, the ocean was on fire. We had hurricanes that flooded from basically New Orleans all the way up to New York City. It's not going away. It's not getting better. So we have to do something about it. And it's not this like, oh, we haven't figured it out yet. No, it's been figured out. There's really good scientists on all different kinds of things. Coral reef restoration. I mean, pulling carbon out of the air on all these. Imagine if we just put the money behind it. Imagine instead of spending $3.5 trillion on a war in Afghanistan. You remember that war? 20 years, 4 presidents from 2 political parties that had the big accomplishment of getting the Taliban out of power and replacing the Taliban with the Taliban that had $80 billion in leftover American military equipment. Imagine if we spent that money on reversing climate change and putting Americans to work. Like this is a plant. This is a CO2 capturing plant, which means that's jobs. What if we had a bunch of these in America? What if a bunch of people who lost their jobs, whose factories closed down or industries went out of business or whatever? I wonder if anyone out of a job would gladly take a job like this, making good money, working in a carbon capture plant. I don't know. I'm just throwing crazy ideas out there. What do I know? I'm just a comedian that surfs and drinks vegan smoothies that's been targeted by private intelligence. So what do I know? Yet DAC is the least developed of the carbon removal technologies promoted as the key to compensating for the slow switch away from fossil fuels. It's the least developed. We just got to put some money behind it. Do you imagine if we cut our military budget in half? We would still be outspending China by $200 billion, by the way, and took that money and put it into stuff like this, which not only saves us from collapse, gives a lot of Americans jobs. Anybody driving for Grubhub or some crappy minimum wage job, wouldn't you like to be making $25, $30, $40 an hour working in a plant, doing something like this that's actually helping the world save itself from destruction? I don't know. More my pie in the sky. Brr, brr, brr. So they interviewed this woman from this firm, and her firm works with Iceland's CarbFix, which has pioneered underground carbon storage, and OnPower, a local geothermal electricity provider. So the Enterprise uses CarbFix's method that mimics in accelerated format a natural process that can take hundreds of thousands of years. Again, they found a way, as I talked about with the Olivaria, which is a mineral that is easily found in America, in the world. And in that process, it's the same thing. You put this mineral on beaches, on the sand. It's kind of green. So you'd make the beaches look a little green. It captures the CO2 and buries it under the ocean. And it's a process that normally would take 1,000 years or so. Some cases, thousands of years. It's done in 2 to 3 years. We're just speeding up the process because we've put so much crap into the environment. We have to come up with ingenious ways of speeding up. The Earth already has the process to deal with this. It's just it takes thousands of years, which the human race does not have. The Earth doesn't give a shit. We'll be gone. The Earth will still be doing this, but we don't have time. We're running out of time. Joe Biden was just at the G20 climate summit, and he's talking about, we're going to cut carbon emissions in half by 2030. That is not enough. That would have been great in 1984. That would have been great in 1984. We're way past that. We need stuff like this on a mass scale. How are you going to pay for it? The same way we pay for all these ridiculous wars. The same way we've just given. How many trillions of dollars has the Federal Reserve just printed in the last year and a half? And who got that money? Working class Americans like you and I. Oh, no, Wall Street got it? Oh, Elon Musk has increased his wealth more in the last 9 months than Warren Buffett has accumulated in the totality of his life as an investor. By pulling CO2 from ambient air, the plant is different from more traditional types of carbon capture and storage CCS projects at highly polluting industrial smokestacks. So it's clean. Once free of impurities after treatment in the adjoining process hall, the carbon dioxide is then piped underground in a distance of 3 kilometers, 1.8 miles, to an area where gray igloo-shaped domes dot a lunar-like landscape. Dissolved in fresh water, the gas is then injected under high pressure into the basalt rock between 80 and 200 meters underground. The solution fills the rock's cavities and the solidification process begins, a chemical reaction turning it to calcified white crystals. The ice caps are melting. We've had record floods. We will continue to have record floods. We're going to continue to have crazy weather. Droughts are going to get worse. Flooding is going to get worse. Or we could reverse it by capturing the CO2. The Orca plant, which costs 10 to 15 million to build, can suck around 4,000 tons of CO2 per year. The amount is tiny by global standards. Climate modeling suggests the world needs to eliminate several billion tons per year by 2050. One plant, $10 to $15 million. $10 to $15 million is nothing. Nothing. So let's call it $15 million. So what if we spent $200 billion? How many plants would that build? I don't know. Let's just, my math on the big numbers. Small numbers I'm pretty good at. The big numbers, let's just pull it out. Right? Let's do it right now. Real time. Okay. 15 million times 200. So it'd be 30 million times wait, am I doing that right? Wait a minute. Well, I'm doing this wrong. It would be, wait, 15 million. How much? I'm doing this wrong. So if we spent $200 billion, No, here's what we do. 200 billion. 20 million. So we could spend, if we spent $200 billion, right? There'd be 100 of these, 200 of these plants we could build in America for $200 billion, right? Did I do that right? Did I do that right? 15 million times 20 equals $300 million. Yeah. So for 200 million, for $200 billion. Yeah. We could have 300 of these plants. I'm doing that math. It's 1,000% incorrect. You see my point. It's too many zeros. I'm going insane. Yeah, so 20 plants would cost $300 million. So 200 plants would cost $3 billion. We'd have 2,000 plants. There, I got it. 2,000 plants. Public school. 2,000. We could have 2,000 of these across the country, across the world, just for $200 billion. $200 billion is nothing. The trillions of dollars we spend on war. Joe Biden just goes to the climate summit. Oh, he's doing all this more incremental centrism. Just $200 billion on this. It'd be nuts. We did 2,000 machines, right? 15 million times 2,000. Yeah. $300 billion. $300 billion is nothing. We'd have 2,000 of these plants. That would do it. So one plant does 4,000 a year. Okay, so let's do that. 4,000 a year times 2,000. 8 million metric tons just from 2,000. That's what $300 billion would buy. 8 million metric tons would be pulled out of the world. Okay. Several billion tons per year by the year 2050. Okay. Several billion tons. So 2,000 of these plants would get 8 million tons a year. So just do that. Okay. So we need, what do we need? 10,000 of these plants, 20,000 of these plants around the world. Okay. So instead of $300 billion, we need $3 trillion. $3 trillion. $3 trillion. Okay. Cool. That's nothing. That's nothing to what we normally spend. Again, $3.5 trillion wasted in Afghanistan. American lives lost, Afghanistan lives lost, innocent civilian lives are lost, PTSD. We have 20 to 22 vets a day commit suicide. Or we could be everybody working in these plants, pulling CO2 out of the ground, out of the air, putting it in the ground and saving us from climate collapse. All right. The solutions are there. They just need mass adoption. That's it. How are we going to pay for it? The Federal Reserve can print the money. Another reason I'm a big fan of Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin, not necessarily the altcoins, Bitcoin. Takes the power away from the central banks so we can get shit like this done. If we don't do it, we're all dead. So I've said this a million times. We fix every problem, but we don't fix climate, it's over. It's over. All right. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Shave your knuckles for justice. Thanks for watching, everybody. Support our show. We've been demonetized because the oil companies don't like me talking about shit like this. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood and go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a P.O. box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.